Hey everyone, Maria back with another video. The day has passed a little bit, actually a lot. It's about 4, let's see, 12. Yeah, it's about 3:36, and I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not as nervous as I was before. It takes a lot to get this anger out of me. It's just really intense. But I wanted to make an educational video today, and it's called Signs of Cult-Based Mind Control. And if I had a group of people that I could work with, I could have constructed a better video, one with pictures, illustrations, and whatnot. But I'm going to do the best I can verbally. Okay. This video is really important, and I address some of these topics in the Dominion Theology videos that I made 2 of. And I'm going to attach those into the description box so you can get a better idea of it if you need it. I encourage you to forward this video to as many people as you can. That would be friends, family, co-workers, everybody you can possibly think of. This is a very important topic that is controlling many people's lives, and it's easy to fall into this trap, okay, if you don't have an understanding of how this system works. Now, as I mentioned in my video before, my father was really an intelligent man who kind of alerted me to some of these life traps that a lot of people fall into. So I had an interest in religion when I was younger, but I also was aware that there were such things called cults, even though, I did go to, study with Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff, but, I still had an interest in, outside interest, but I had a major interest in cults. So I'm fully aware of how they work and how people can easily fall into this trap. So I'm going to go into this video really quick and kind of talk about. First, I'm going to start off with misconceptions about cults. Now, a lot of people think that cults are going to be identified by wearing strange clothes. I'm sure we all are familiar with those orange-colored clothes that Hare Krishnas wear, or that they might resemble the Marshall Harif Applewhite group, which is also known as the Heaven's Gate cult. For those who don't remember, he was the person who in 1997 led 38 people to commit suicide. Okay, this also includes people like Jim Jones, Charles Manson, or David Koresh. If you are interested in these individuals, I highly recommend that you Google these people, because you can learn a lot about these individuals. Anyway, the definition of a cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object, okay? It's a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange and sinister, okay? So a lot of times when you're involved in a cult, you probably don't recognize that you're in a cult, okay, because you're wrapped up in a lot of emotions and the love bombing, which I will go into later on in this video, okay? But for other people who are using discernment and noticing a behavior change in you, if you're being mind controlled, they will probably be able to realize. They may not identify it quite quickly or right away, but they will say, something's not quite right with this person. They're completely changed, and not in a positive way, okay? Now, the mind control tactics that they use are, number one, they withhold necessary life-sustaining items, goals, etc., that everyone should be entitled to. Like in my case, they withhold employment or certain levels of employment, or they might, deprive you of a certain God-given right that you have. They might have a network in place where they cut off your Social Security because they got somebody working in the Social Security Administration who's a part of their cult, okay? These sort of things happen, and they're very common, okay? And they do that to keep you in line, so that they use fear and intimidation to get what they want out of you. There are some people who use the tactic of sleep deprivation. Some of these people go to long retreats. They might church group might go on a long a religious retreat, and during that time they might keep you up for 20, 30 hours, you know what I mean? And they might put you to work, give you hard labor, and then, of course, your mind is not thinking straight, and so while you are in this, fragile mental state, they are pumping you filled with all kinds of indoctrinations and ways of seeing things, okay? So this is another one of their tactics. They can organize companies to shut people out until they are forced to agree with a certain ringleader. Now, in this case, Esther and John Gooding are the ringleaders, okay? And so there's other people who are cult leaders as well. Okay, so they may have had maybe an agreement with some temp agencies, okay? We'll keep this person out, regardless of the fact that the temp agency is supposed to be an equal opportunity employer, okay? They want to be a part of this group, okay? And so all logic and reason goes out the window when you're being mind controlled, okay? They're not putting two and two together that this is wrong, okay? Because, like I said, when you're in a cult, they emphasize, togetherness, being a part, and one of their tactics they use is, shunning people who don't. They shun people like they're shunning me. That's one of the reasons why I had a problem, being taken seriously, even though I've done absolutely nothing wrong. They shun people. They use the feeling of being exclusivism and love bombing. Like, for example, you'll get like this shared feeling of camaraderie among people who belong in the group. They might have formalize a network where, like I said, they're giving certain people jobs, they're giving people certain privileges. Like, for example, if your car breaks down, then your quote unquote cult brother will let you borrow their vehicle or something along those lines. But anybody outside of that group, could basically go, take a hike, okay? So they do a lot of exclusive type things where they, pamper these people because they're in a group, okay? That's one of it. Love bombing is basically a good example of that. Is like, for example, there's a lot of wayward people who may have fallen to hard times. There's a lot of people who, ex-druggies, okay? Ex-druggies, people who had a hard life, ex-people who've been in prison, and of course they're down on their luck. They don't have family. They lost all their friends. And guess what? They go to this church group, and this church group is surrounding them, hugging them, giving them all kinds of, affection because they need church members, okay? And so love bombing is another tactic that they use in order to keep you in line. I was going to mention fear and intimidation, but I think that kind of goes along some of the lines that I've already mentioned. They do use a lot of reporting and snitching, okay? So, like, for example, in reporting and snitching, for example, like, they found out I was a genius, so then my family found out, and so I've been, like, bombarded with a bunch of mind control tactics by employers to continually take tests, and I believe this was instructed probably by Esther Gooding as well as John Gooding, because they felt challenged because they are white supremacists. That's not even necessary, nor is it any of their business, okay? And then my sister Tanya was probably doing it because she was a sibling. She's my sibling, and she feels jealous, okay? Also, I do remember when I worked at the place called the Penny Saver, there was a girl who would just get up and, for any reason, okay, and, like tell, want to tell and do stuff that, for things that were just really stupid, like, and I kept thinking, now I'm starting to think back, all these years, that they feel like there's somebody who I'm not, okay, what irritates me about this is that I've never agreed to be a part of their structure, okay? But yet you have people who are reporting and telling on you as if you're a little kid, and that you need somebody, they need somebody to know that you're doing something wrong so they can slap you on the hand, okay? Reporting, snitching, all of this sort of stuff, telling on you when it's not even necessary. Okay, I'm a grown woman, for God's sake. Information control, that's one thing they do. They want to control what you read. They want to control who you talk to, what you do. Like, for example, the Watchtower and Tract Society, Jehovah's Witnesses, they never liked you reading any other information other than Watchtower and Tract Society publications. It doesn't matter if it was another Christian pamphlet. It doesn't matter if it has other, biblical scriptures from another religious organization. They want you to read their literature, period, okay? So you have to question things like that, because you have the right to an opinion. You have a right to formulate, whether something's right or something's wrong. You have a right to make those decisions and determine what's right and wrong, okay? Because if somebody's going to try to control all of that, that's a red flag right there, okay? Obvious signs of somebody being mind controlled, they tend to idolize a single charismatic leader, okay? Now, I've seen some people, I remember going to this lady's house one time, and she was just all up in a, flourish. She was worried, stressed out because her pastor was in town and she wanted to make a special dinner for him. She wanted to buy him a special gift. And, there's nothing wrong with wanting to, show appreciation for people who are tending their flock, okay? But I have noticed that in some churches, they have what I call pastor worship, where you almost think that this pastor has replaced Jesus Christ himself. That's bizarre, okay? So, like, in this case, I'm assuming Esther and John Gooding were basically putting themselves in a position where everybody just thought everything that they said was, like, golden, and then they had to follow this particular leader. These people are obviously crooked and corrupt, okay? So another sign would be people always seeming constantly happy and enthusiastic. This is a sign that they deliberately put on, or a facade that they put on, so that they can help recruit new members, okay? Because they think, wow, he's fun, I want to be a part, and I want to be you guys' friend, and I want to belong, and I want to, improve my life. But it's really a front, because what they're trying to do is, develop an instant friendship with you so that you can be a part of their cult, okay? They basically instruct you, I think I mentioned this before, about information control. They do instruct who you can and cannot talk to, who you can associate with, who you can shun, who you can associate with. And they really want you to only associate with other cult members, okay? There are a lot of times when cult members, like, for example, Heaven's Gate, they basically renounced their own families, okay? They would cut off communication with their families. I'm not talking about families that were abusive. I'm talking about families that were relatively normal. Okay, there's no such thing as normal, but just a regular mom and dad. All families are dysfunctional, but somebody who never did anything extreme. Okay, but just because they're not a part of that organization, they were instructed to not talk to them anymore. So they would disassociate with them. They would cut off all their friends, regardless of what they did or not, whether they were decent. You can't hang out with them because they're not a part of the cult. Okay. They don't really tell you what they really believe, okay? As a matter of fact, a lot of times they use emotions. They are basically guiding and manipulating you based on your emotion and how you feel. So that's one of the reasons why they use a lot of love bombing techniques, because in your mind, and then they also give you certain perks and privileges. If you think that life is all about getting the ideal job that you want, and you think it's a blessing, you think that, hey, Jesus gave me this job. No, he didn't. He didn't give you the job. It's a part of your mind control. Okay. Also, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay. A lot of times they want you to give them money to get to the next level, or they want, yeah. In some cases, like I've heard, I don't know much about Scientology. I really don't, but I will use this as an example. I've heard of Scientology. I don't know much about Scientology. Okay, my dad was one of those people who also read different religions and stuff like that, and I do remember him having some L. Ron Hubbard books, but I never delved into them myself. I do recall reading some books about how some people got together with this particular group or whatever, and they would reach certain levels. Like, for example, I don't know how it works, but like maybe level 3, okay? And so in order to get to level 4, which is supposed to be help improve your life, you have to dole out maybe another $1,000, whether that be like all at once or like in increments, or maybe have like your paycheck garnished or whatever, to allot certain money to them. They have these sort of systems in place. Okay, it's a form of mind control, and it's a kind of a sign of a cult. Okay, some cults travel door to door. I'm not going to go into all that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up right now, and I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of how cults work. And basically, most of the people who got involved, actually all the people who got involved, including my sister Tanya, has been duped by a cult. Okay, and I feel kind of bad for these people, because we're taught to like when I was little, I was taught to respect my teacher. And I'm going to tell you, I had teachers that were they appeared so respectful to me as a kid. Like I've said this before, that I seriously had a hard time believing that they actually like peed and took a poop like everybody else, because they behaved in such a way that they seemed like beyond reproach. Okay, sometimes people, a lot of times we have respect for cult leaders because we think because they use the name, they throw out the word Jesus, and that somehow or another these people are legit. And a lot of people have been using this is a scam that's been going on for years. Okay, so you have to question it, and that's the only way you can really question whether these people are legit or not is because you got to have a foundation, like I said. So if it's not really scriptural, it's not based on scripture, you have to question it. Okay, you can't be taken for a ride. I know it seems appealing for you. Like, for example, some of you guys right now may be hanging on for your dear lives thinking, well, I'm still going to hang on because, I still got this job and everything, okay? I want you to understand how quick you could find yourself on the outs of that, okay? Like, for example, if you come into a disagreement with him for any reason, at any time, you can find yourself booted out, ostracized, and in a very bad situation. So I encourage you to look up as much information as you can about cults and some of these leaders, and see if you can find some similarities about your mind control. Because I'm addressing my perps in this video and the collective. And I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'll be back with another one if I feel up to it. But I do think this is an important video. I could have done a much better video if I had the necessary skills, like for example PowerPoint or some sort of video maker, what do you call it, experience, which I don't, you know what I mean? And unfortunately I don't really know anyone anymore. So, and I really don't have the mind right now to learn a skill right now because I'm dealing with a lot of nervousness. I'm having a hard time just formulating a resume and hitting the send button, okay? So Maria is trying to get rid of the nervousness. She's doing the best she can, okay? So I hope this video helps. I'm going to wrap this video up, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.